Coming to you from Kansas City, Kansas. Juice it, drink it, serve it. It's late night lemonade time with Luke and Matt. Hello, guys. I'm Matt.
And I am Luke.
Just to give you a little information about ourselves. I'm a leader in a big position at a very fun job that I've been with for quite some time. I love to get my hands dirty and fix some things. With my free time, I like messing with some vehicles and some machinery. I'm a little bit of a tech nerd, and I'm video game savvy. So it's something I like doing in my free time. What about you, Luke? What do you like doing?
I like hiking. I like going to the pool in the summertime. Movies are always a good time. And yeah, I'm working. I make custom flags. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
So today we're gonna have a couple topics that we'll be going over. We have a fun show. This will be our first episode with Late Nite Lemonade. We've had some past experience in the past. This is just something new that we're doing. Hopefully we can bring you that late night vibe, little chill session, and you'll have fun with us. Hopefully you'll laugh. First topic we'll be talking about is driver's ed and the importance of why it should be free and available to everyone. From past experience with myself, I've had driver's ed, and I tell you, taking the driver's test without driver's ed, it is no fun. I have failed many times of trying to take the test at the DMV, and I have failed so many times to where it's, I think it's 5 for the minimum until you pass. Anything past that, you fail. Every time I would go to the DMV, I would get 6 wrong instead of 5. So I would always have something that happened, whether it's a crackhead yelling at the clerk, whether you can take their ID or whatever is happening. A lot of stuff going on to where I've had a rush. I didn't have my mentality. I studied too hard for the test and ended up just thinking a little bit too much in that certain time, a certain moment. But sometimes taking a step back, breathe in, maybe taking a different point of view, having it done, it's helped me out. Mainly, I want to talk about driver's education because we both have took driver's education in the past and passed it. That's why we have our driver's license now. I feel like it should be required or it should be a free amenity by the school districts or even local government to have that free education towards the younger children that are coming up to drive either their own vehicles or parents' vehicles. Main thing would be to be out in the street, knowledgeable, to have that specific advice or information brought out to them so they're knowledgeable, to be safe, any and everything in that sense. It shouldn't cost, $400, $500 to take a 6-hour class, rather than it should be free allowed either to, specific high schools. And we found some topics, some websites with that are kind of, they're trying to pass a bill in some states, some areas to have that free amenity for the high school, whether it be around the 16 year age up to 18. Well, like I'm saying, it should be something free for any and all students, whether they're going through a certain class in high school or doing any community service. If they want to have it not completely free or not, in a way that you gotta work for it, at least have something implemented, like I've done before, community service to get a scholarship. Something in that sense should be set in stone to make it easier for everybody to be done. It helps me now whenever I drive because I feel like a lot of people drive like they got their license out of a cardboard box. Mm-hmm. It's despicable that they don't know how to, in certain situations, deal with something. They just freeze up, like I've learned how to defensively drive. I feel like that is very advanced for everybody to have. for the future at least, because you'll have potentially less accidents, anything that might happen in that sense. I feel like that would be a necessity. What do you feel like that should be for you, Luke? Do you think that in a sense should be the same or a little bit different?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I took driver's ed when I was like 18, and it was crazy because my parents never really taught me how, and my granddad was the only person who really taught me, and a couple other people kind of helped me out. But whenever I started doing driver's ed, that was me going in the deep end, starting
Yeah.
to drive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I took it at the community college, and I had to pay like 350, 450, something like that. And the guy who gave me the driver's test and doing all the driver's ed, not going to say his name, but he was scary.
Oh yeah.
The first time driving with driver's ed, I went to a local park, and the speed limit is 20 miles per hour, and so it goes up and down, up and down. And if I went up to 25 miles per hour, even if I'm going down the hill, he was like, "Whoa, slow down there, speed demon, slow down." And then I would go down to like 10 miles per hour whenever I'm like going up the hill, and he's just like, "You can speed it up, you know." And I'm like, "I can't win here." But that was the first time driving, and I barely knew what I was doing. And he told me to start up the car, and I didn't even know I was supposed to keep my foot on the brake
Yeah.
at the very start. Like I didn't know these little nuanced things that you just learn with experience and learn even through reading the book, the driver's handbook.
Mm-hmm.
But after a couple of tries, I figured it out,
Yeah.
and then I went to Worlds of Fun. That was the probably like third or fourth time I ever drove, and I had to drive through downtown Kansas City through rush hour to get to Worlds of Fun and then back to the community college. And that was like one of the first times of me driving was through all that craziness. So yeah, it's important to have that, because if I didn't have an instructor in the car and I just had to figure this all out on my own, that would have sucked. That would have been terrible. But yeah, if they were able to give it out for free, I would have saved like $450.
Yeah.
I would have learned a lot sooner than I did. I was 18 years old, and pretty much everybody that I know had a driver's license before I did, because I was the poor kid, you know.
Yeah. I was 21 when I got my license.
That's right. You got it at 21, but you were driving way before I was.
I was breaking the law by driving since I was 16. But like I said, every time I went, I failed by 6, and you could fail by 5 and still pass. So it wasn't like I wasn't completely knowledgeable. It was just the book smart of the way the DMV does it. It's just so confusing. They trip you up. They reword it, you know, and it kind of messes with me. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get it. I'll study some more. But like I said, studying too much for myself is just I overthought it. And
Yeah.
It just messed me up with wording.
And I've been driving for however many years now, and I feel like I wouldn't even pass the written test right now if I looked at it because of how it's worded. And then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course this is how you drive." And then I'd look at it and I'm like, "You have to stop that far back from a stop sign before you continue going? Like, what is this?" Or like, you know, all the different things that you kind of figure out. And I drive carefully, sometimes fast, but carefully. And
Carefully
so
fast.
Carefully fast, yeah, safely fast. But like I slow down
Yeah.
very carefully. I'm pushing barely on the brakes, and I accelerate very slow, even for my Honda Civic. Like I go a lot slower than most people.
Yeah.
I keep my RPM at like 2 and 3 to start going on the highway, and I mean I really keep it slow. But that's more to keep my car nice instead of like going crazy, and then I can get up to 80 miles per hour on the highway. You know?
Yeah. So you're the driver that I'm behind that's just getting on my nerves.
Yes, for the first 10 seconds, and then I'm up to 80 miles per hour, and you're like, "Oh, okay." So
Yeah,
he's in
you-
front now.
Give me a second. I gotta go. Oh, okay. That what you said there is taking the driver's test now. That kind of what I was thinking is you got older drivers that hasn't taken the test in 8 years or so, however long it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot different because a lot of times I hear is, "Oh, it's easy. It'll be easy." When I took the driver's test, I didn't have no problems. But now, if you go what it is now, the different roles and the different wording, the different things that they show, because they have it on a computer now
Mm-hmm.
rather than written down.
Right.
So it's going to be completely different than what they had. at their time when they first got their driver's license.
And our attention spans are horrible nowadays.
Man.
Trying to like actually pay attention. I haven't taken a test in a long time, but I wouldn't do well on a test.
No.
I never did good on tests. Math, reading, anything. If it was a test, I wasn't doing good on it.
No, it sucks.
I didn't learn how to read
it's
until
the
third grade.
Well, read and write in third grade?
No, I could write. I just couldn't read very well.
Yeah, so that's going to be the next challenge is for the next group of kids going through high school, coming out of high school, is whether they have the proper learning of how to drive safely. And I feel like if they effectively do that with high schools, if they pass this bill like they talked about in Missouri, to have it to where it's more integrated with schools, whether it's like a certain class that they do, or it's free, and like I said, they do something with that.
Yeah.
I would definitely see a change in accidents that happen, incident, like knowledge with vehicles. And it can be so many things that it can prevent and then grow as a community, especially for the youth, to have that implemented or even thought of.
I always see those commercials about like Argosy Casino or whatever casino. Every time I see a commercial, they're always like, we're putting this money and this money into schools and into the roads and everything like that. And then I never notice any differences in the schools or in the roads. And of course, that's not their fault. It's just the money that they're coming in. But if they have that money, they could be spending it on driver's ed.
Yeah.
Like that would be a great way to implement it.
I mean, in a sense, there could be a shift of change, like of money going certain places. Because I know in Kansas, where we're at, the roads were supposed to be changed and, developed and, repaired and all that stuff. And the past governor, that it was supposed to be implemented and done, but it wasn't. So it was like, where is all this money going? And after they got in trouble and, they seen well, this is supposed to be happening, but it's not. What do we do? Now we see that people have noticed that this money is supposed to go here and it's not, that roads are actually getting fixed. They have plans to fix, major areas that have, high volume of cars coming through, traffic, highways are getting fixed. I can go like 2 to 3 different highways and they're having sections done. There could be a definite shift of change with having that free driver's ed. And then what you're talking about is with that is fixing areas of where we're at with the road. Because if you're not properly trained on how to maneuver a car in, bad inclement weather, you're already setting yourself up to have an accident.
Yep.
Because I've had years of driving in bad weather, and there could be one person that's not paying attention that can ruin the whole day and the whole vehicle, all that.
Yeah, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm pretty sure the number one cause of death, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's car wrecks. Like, so many people die of car wrecks every single year.
Well, it's car wrecks, but it's with cell phones.
Ah, yes. Cell phones and alcohol or being under the influence of something, either cell phones or like...
I can't tell you how many people I see at my job that'll have a beer bottle sitting right in their center console. And obviously I can't say anything because I'm there to serve the customer. But if I see they're intoxicated, then I definitely want to have them not go through my area, my business. Seeing so many people go through my business, seeing them intoxicated, not following rules or anything like that, I definitely want to have them out of that situation. But it's hard to do when you're on the road and you see another person that's possibly swerving and intoxicated. You can call the police, you can honk on them, flash the lights and all that stuff. But when you see somebody on the phone, that's the biggest pet peeve of mine, is seeing somebody on their phone, pulling it up, texting, looking down at their phone. I get it if you're looking at GPS and stuff like that.
Right.
That's what officers mainly pull you over, is see if you're on your GPS, see if you're adjusting something on your phone for that GPS or something. Not on your phone, you're adjusting your music or texting somebody, calling somebody, because that can wait.
Mm-hmm.
They do have devices that'll help, hands-free devices, but if you think about that, anything that is taking your mind off the road, whether you're talking to another person in the vehicle, on the phone, it is a distraction no matter what. You could have music playing in the car. It's a distraction. Somebody sitting in the car with you, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes all the time, you have to learn to drive with those distractions. And not always the same distractions, but like noise from outside or people in the car. Like that's just going to happen every time you drive.
yeah,
Or whatever it is. And you kind of just have to learn to drive efficiently and safely with those things. But then, of course, we want to eliminate as many issues as we can so we can continue driving safely.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think all those hands-free things are great. And then also, whenever we're learning with driver's ed, they should totally implement like using GPSs and things like that because that's everybody does it now.
Yeah.
People are using GPSs, and the fact that there's, I mean, maybe they do. It's been like 6 years since I've done it, or like 5, whatever it is. But I feel like they didn't say anything about GPSs. Nothing about GPSs, and I know that's not how to drive, and you shouldn't have to learn how to use GPS to drive. But like those different things that would be nice to implement.
though there will definitely be different situations that you will run into when driving,
Mm-hmm.
like a deer jumping in front of you.
Yep.
You know, like I said, somebody on their phone. You know, somebody's tire blew, your tire blew. You know what to do in that certain situation. You know,
I just saw a car today, literally on fire,
yeah,
up in flames. Like cars are dangerous.
Yeah.
And you got to learn how to deal with these different things. And I never learned because, like, even through I think it was like a 12-week course that I had driver's ed, and I still didn't learn everything. But if they had a dedicated class at schools, I feel like they would have plenty of time to learn, help all the different students actually understand how to drive cars, and maybe more of the like after a couple of months, you start understanding different things that you can read about it, but if you actually drive and experience it, you understand it way better.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, there could be different things that can be implemented. They can see what can work with them. I mean, at school, they're there to learn. You know, it's just got to have a strong teacher. You got to be willing to learn. You know, take that initiative.
I think the main thing it comes down to should it be free? And if it is free, we have to ask where the money is coming from, because the teachers have to get paid. And maybe it's the same way that librarians get paid, same way that the teachers get paid, same way anybody gets paid if it's public school. I definitely think that private schools already have driver's ed classes, but to have it with the public schools, that would mean either taxpayers have to put in, or that's just a government funded program, whatever it is. Grants, exactly.
Yeah.
And if they had a specific section, like we would have grants and different money that goes to different areas, if they could specifically say, we want driver's ed, because that's one of the biggest causes of death. That seems like an important subject to teach.
There is definitely a kind of a gray area where they could go with it, what they could do. Like I said, they could do community service, we could do grants, you know, all kinds of different things that could be implemented to make it work with them. But I think if they see the main idea, the main topic with it, why it's important, I think that would explain itself and it would grow to why we should have it done, why it would be important to the next generation that is driving. Because there's going to be the generation to where mom and pop don't tell you how to do this with a certain vehicle, you know, because a lot of people now, they have their dad or their granddad that, you know, gives them the information that tell them of what they've experienced or what to do. You know, you never know. They might last for a long time and might be gone within a generation or two. So it's definitely worth having it somebody teach it. You want to go to our second topic that we have for the day?
Sure.
So we want to talk about the submarine implosion
Yes.
that they had of the Titanic exploration.
Yeah. So what's up with this? I don't know too much on the subject, but
So
I know that
I
they
know a
died.
hit or miss with it. I know this group of 5 people, they went to visit the Titanic like they did last year. It was kind of like a test version of their submarine that they've had. They put a lot of money into it um, to get it to work. Now, from what hearing and discovering is that it wasn't approved to go down to be safe, um,
Interesting.
but they went ahead and did it like they did last year around the same time. Upon going down there, they lost communications
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't find their GPS, whatnot. Uh, after all, the to steer the submarine, it was a gaming controller that they did have. So that was probably something they had. It was like a testing or a beta for that instead of like a steering wheel or a certain set with the vehicle or the submarine, I should say.
And so these people knew that they were being test subjects. They were.
From what it seemed like, yes. Now they had asked a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, if they were intrigued in going down there
Right.
and visiting and seeing that. But
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
saw an
them,
article said like one of the somebody like a producer or something from Simpsons wanted to go down and do it, or maybe he had gone down and done it.
they also had asked Mr. Beast
Oh wow.
if he
Ooh.
wanted to do it late, like earlier in that month.
Yeah.
If he was intrigued in doing that, and obviously he said no.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, they've asked quite a bit of people if they were intrigued in doing that. I'm pretty sure they were asking the people with a lot of money so we can get some stuff done. But what they uncovered online, or not online, but from online, the submarine imploded after going down there and visiting the Titanic area. Um, some sources say that the Navy SEALs had heard the implosion, whether it was their like sound waves or the radar or whatever it be. Um, they did recently find parts of the submarine. They didn't find any people or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait,
but
so they found it and it was completely empty?
I'm not sure if it was completely empty. From what the pictures show, is it's parts of the submarine. And they didn't say it was any person or anything like that. So if you think if it's an implosion, it's not an explosion. So implosion is
It goes in.
water goes in and goes out. So
Gotcha.
they had to be compromised at some point in some way of whether this door wasn't sealed correctly or it just couldn't hold all the pressure of being at the bottom of the sea. Because the deeper you go, it's going to be more pressure on that. So it might have not been as spec of going as deep as they went to reach that area, but it was an implosion, so it might have shattered all their debris and all the remains around that area. They're still investigating it. They just pulled out those parts about 2 days ago. So it's still fresh. It's still under investigation of finding if there is, remains in that part. But for the most part, they did find big parts of the submarine. So they're going to investigate what happened.
Yeah.
Why did it do that? Where it faulted at. Now, from there, it's like, well, who lies on what happened?
Did they
Who's that
sign
fault?
like a thing that says they're willing to put their lives at risk and saying like I might die in the submarine?
Well, they should, yeah.
Just like I assume that they do with skydiving. Like you got to sign something that says like maybe you could die.
I'm pretty sure the billionaires that went on there were not dumb, and they did sign something. Different precautions to make sure they were safe. Having it checked, triple checked, having everything done in the sense that they are able to go down, come back up, having emergency procedures done, whether they have a boat up top where they went down into the water to view the Titanic, having different options to maneuver the vehicle that they're operating, instead of having a gaming controller steering wheel to have that in. They could do like a hardwire steering, anything to make it a little bit better in their sense. definitely a growing experience for them. I know there's going to be lawsuits for sure. Whether it's the families, whoever owned the ship. I think he was in there whenever it went down.
Mm.
He was the owner of that submarine and that business that they were doing. So whoever's next in line is going to have to answer to that,
Right.
obviously. But just having mainly emergency procedures set in stone. Even if they're rich, they're not rich. There should be rules set to make sure that the Coast Guard, the National Navy, whatever it is, some higher authority to make sure that it is safe for them to operate, go, have that put in. So that's my kind of take of for the submarine of what they could have done different or what could be done with it. Do you have anything to add or ask about that?
Not too much. It's just trying to make sure it's safe, and then also if this hadn't have happened, I don't think I would have heard about it. I don't think anybody would have heard about it. It's one of those things that are just so niche and oh, did you hear about the submarine that went to the Titanic? It's just one of those things that you probably wouldn't have heard of until disaster happens. It's cool that they had the idea, but if this was like a test drive, it obviously didn't work. Now
No.
they need to go back to the drawing boards and see where to go from there to make it safe.
I don't think it's ever going to go back.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, it's went too far and didn't come back.
I think that area of the ocean needs to be left alone.
It's cursed or something.
It's something, man. It's something.
Yeah, you never know. I think that iceberg hit him from below, so it could be anything that happened, but definitely there's something odd that happened or imperfected device that they used or done. It's definitely a learning for them. It's sad to say that 5 people's lives were lost, but people have made memes about it. That's the crazy part is they were joking about so many different things that happened, and a lot of people hear that tragedy happened. Some people wanted to be funny about it, still make fun of it, but it's a touchy situation to deal with.
Yep.
Definitely a worry. We got a third topic for you guys. So Luke brought it up. Items that are thrown at concerts and incidents that happen. Some crazy experience that either you've had or something that happened. You were talking about a concert, somebody throwing their cell phone or something.
Yeah. So I saw in the news that there was a concert that somebody took their phone and was thinking hey, let me throw this up on the stage. They can take a selfie with their phone, with the person who threw their phone, and then send it back. Well, that doesn't work, especially in the video that you see. They're chucking it, and it hits them right square in the face and in the eye, gave them a black eye. I mean, they had to stop the show.
Wow.
It was bad, and that's not the only thing. There's been tons of people that throw stuff, and especially lately, it seems like people are getting more, crazy at concerts. They just want to be a part of it so much that they'll do stupid stuff like throwing their phones or I saw somebody else threw a bracelet. And then other people are doing crazy things. Like a guy dumped ashes all over himself at a concert. And so just weird stuff that people are doing to get attention. And I know that's been happening forever, but at concerts where it can be really dangerous, especially throwing items at the person singing. And that doesn't just go for that. Comedians, stuff happening to comedians Dave Chappelle, somebody brought a knife up to the stage, or wrestling events where people start throwing beer cans or whatever it is in the crowd at the wrestlers, and it gets super dangerous then because they want to be a part of the show, or their emotions get too much and then they start doing crazy things. But
you get lost in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, I've seen people that have thrown cell phones up there and then they pick it up and then they're hey, doing a video with it. But then in that same sense, I've seen them do that and then just toss the phone, just get rid of it. I don't want this, or
right,
you messed up. I'm keeping it, or they do.
Yeah.
There's so many different things I've had at concerts I've seen. Obviously, it's bras and panties. Whether it's the ones you want to see or don't want to see.
Yep.
Grandmas or the hot moms.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in concerts. It's definitely an experience to go and see. Um, you when you go to a concert, you don't want to have to think about your safety. Something happening. I mean, there's going to be some concerts like a rock band. They're going to have a mosh pit and stuff like that. Common sense, and then understanding what happens at those certain type of concerts or certain things or traditions that they do. There's some sort of people that have songs that they do. They get amped up and hyped and they're known
Limp
about.
Bizkit, whenever it was 1999 at whatever that
Woodstock.
Woodstock '99, when they went insane and everybody was going crazy and it was super hot, people were dying. It was a crazy time, and they even have documentaries. I think that could be a whole nother topic in it. Thinking about that, there was a recent concert that a bunch of people were like pushing the security guards and got in, and some people died. Do you remember that? It was like a rapper who had a concert.
Astroworld.
Yes.
Travis Scott.
Yes. And then, do you remember what happened with that?
A little bit here and there. I mean, and you kind of said it. They were pushing security. They didn't have enough security. Yeah. Really, they were just having a lot of volunteers being security. Mm-hmm. So they would just step out the way and let them go through. They would just push past the gates, and, get through there, just tear up a bunch of stuff. Just being bad children, I guess, or adults, or whatever they were. Something that definitely could have been changed. I think trampled or something.
I think that's what
fell down or something. Definite precautions to go have fun. Be sensible in yourself of knowing the area or situation you're around to be safe. But definite something to be set in line. I wouldn't say too much security, but something to where their understanding of things that happen throughout the concert. Now, you're there to have fun. I've went to a couple concerts and had some crazy stuff happen, and I was like, I'm gonna remember this forever, and I have. Yeah. So it's just certain things can be happening or done. Because you don't want to think about, well, somebody's gonna come in here with a gun and shoot up the place because somebody's upset about certain thing happening to them or whatever it be. Mm-hmm. Don't let it go sour. We're there to have a fun time, not to worry about that the whole time.
Yeah, and I've been to probably over 20, 30 concerts, whatever it is, and I've never seen anything insane. Like, I've never seen anybody get too hurt. Now, I did go to Warped Tour once, and I heard that somebody died of heat exhaustion or whatever it was, but that's the closest thing. And then I've been to emo nights, which is like the emo music, and then everybody's dancing on the stage. Some people get too close and fall off the stage. And so now they've made it to where you can't step over a certain line if you're on the stage and different things like that. So they're trying to make it safer. And then also security guards get really making sure nobody's being unsafe. So, yeah.
Yeah, my first concert I went to was Tech Nine, my favorite artist ever. I went to Tech Nine and his concert in Kansas City, Missouri. And it was amazing. It was fun. It was kind of what I expected, but kind of not. There was so much bass, and the environment that I was in. It was very fun. I remember him telling the crowd, "The police can't do anything to you if you smoke, but the security can. They can kick you out. And then the cops can deal with you then." And then he's hyping them up to hey, light up the blunts, something like that. So just having fun in that sense. They test the limits at concerts to see what is different from any other artist or concert that they do have out there. For the fourth topic we do have, we have ghost experiences, whether they're real or exaggerated. Have you ever had an experience before? Anything in that sense? What do you feel upon that topic?
Yeah. So I don't know if ghosts in the literal sense of a person who died and then that's their ghost there. I don't know. But I do believe in demons, and I do believe that there's evil on earth just as I believe there's good, as in God. versus evil, which is demons and Satan. So yeah, I definitely think there's evil spirits, whatever you want to call that, but demons on Earth, and I think they can take the form or the shape of ghosts or kind of replicate or whatever that word is, like pretending to be a ghost. I think can be very possible. For me, I've never really had anything too crazy. I've seen things that were very strange, and I've seen miracles, which is like the opposite of
Yeah.
like a ghost encounter. So I've definitely seen miracles and things that I believe God did a miracle, and different things happened that couldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, or just a miracle. And then I remember one day we were at school and the door just opened, and it wasn't just a random door. It was the door to outside that you have to physically push open, and it goes wide and then stayed open. Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
And it just stayed open, and then we were like, what's going on? One of the teachers even looked over like, what's going on? Did somebody try to leave the building? And so they walked over to it and looking around, and they're like, nobody's there. And then it closes.
It wasn't even windy that day.
Like it wasn't windy at all. And the thing is, those were big, heavy doors, and you push it open. I mean, nobody was over there. We were literally the closest people, and we were all on our computers. Nobody opened it. It opened up, and it's one that latches. It just opened up and stayed open for a good, like 30 seconds until somebody went over to go check outside, and then it closed. So weird stuff can happen, and I'm sure there's an explanation, you know, like a scientific explanation, whatever it is, maybe, but it was weird.
Yeah, at that point in time, it was what you seen, what you heard. You know, it was that experience. From my beliefs and my thought is, I believe there is ghosts. I believe that there are spirits, whether it's good or bad, deterring what it was like when they were on the earth or this atmosphere, whether it was good or bad, whether something happened to them and they're entrapped in that specific area. Like I've watched a lot of ghost documentaries, a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard to deter if it's real information, it's falsified, if it's exaggerated. But watching some certain ones that have had, you know, great credibility or great resources or great equipment, they're able to determine what is happening, what they're experiencing in that certain area, what they feel, whether it's magnetic fields that are changing, the temperature changing,
Mm-hmm.
whether things are shifted or moved. There's so many things you might see or hear, you know, whether there's footsteps, bangs, they're physically moving something. You hear recorded voices that definitely nobody was in that area. I haven't had too much of an experience to understand of, you know, what it might feel like for me, but I just get that feeling when I'm in a certain area, whether I don't feel like I should be present, whether I feel sick in my stomach or my chest, or I just get really cold for no sudden reason. You know, it's just that inner body feeling that, you know, you wouldn't feel anywhere else, and it wouldn't be like, you know, a mind trigger, you know, like anxiety or something happening, because if a group of people feel it, then it's definitely not a personal thing.
Right.
So I believe that there is a such thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you could spend thinking that ghosts are real or not,
Right.
into certain things that, like, you know, Bigfoot, you know,
Right.
UFOs or such.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's like, where do we go after we die? What happens to the lost souls that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, haven't finished their task, or certain things to pass on to the other world? There's so many things to think about. You know, you could believe in certain conspiracies, certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But more or less, it's your own feeling of what you feel, what you experience at a certain time.
Right. And as a Christian, I think that when people die, they either go to heaven or hell. And this is just my opinion on the subject. But I definitely think that evil exists in different places. And I remember being at a hotel room, and this was actually with our friend Levante, and we were in Branson, Missouri, and we were staying in this hotel. And the whole time, I just felt like the energy you can just feel inside the room. like this off-putting, like really negative feelings. Like whenever I was in the bed, I was just like, this feels wrong. Like I feel so uncomfortable. Like so like I was getting scared. I was sweating. Like and it was like probably like 65 degrees in the room. You know, we're keeping the temperature low, but it was just it was weird. You know, and afterwards I was like, let's not go back to that hotel room. And Levante thought the same thing. He was like, that hotel, something was off. Something was wrong. And yeah, scientific explanations. I'm sure somebody could have said, oh, this and this, and the smell was making you guys nauseous, and because of this, I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird experience. Yeah.
It's all about experiences.
And then going back to what you were saying about is it real, is it not? I would question certain things about the show, and then other things I think are totally legit. I love at the beginning of those ghost adventure shows whenever they show the history and like this murder happened here and this happened at this asylum or this crazy thing happened at this road at this time. We had some technical issues with the camera, but we're going to go back to the conversation that we were having. We're kind of talking about ghosts and if we believe that they're real or not and these different paranormal TV shows, what our opinions were. Was there anything you wanted to add on that, or are you okay to continue?
I kind of was going to add a little bit of a funny spill to that. Kind of a celebrity experience from Joy Behar, one of the hosts from The View. In 2022, she said in an episode she had an experience to her co-host of a ghost experience. She said, I've had sex with a few ghosts and never got pregnant. She admitted to her co-hosts that if someone became pregnant by a ghost, they kind of laughed and had an outburst of that. I kind of think that's a little funny because people made fun of that with Scary Movie, kind of jumping around in the room and doing that experience. But to hear somebody that's had some credibility in the entertainment business, whether they're having a joke or not, they kind of throw a spin at their own ghostly experience and saying something like they had sex with many different ghosts, but they didn't get pregnant. They felt that.
Right.
It's to the senses. Is that real or are they exaggerating? In a sense, some people do make fun of it, but in some ways it's important what they feel and what they've experienced in their own ways. So there's always a funny side and there's a serious side.
All right, and I think the serious side would be is whenever they're saying a ghost, maybe they ghosted them afterwards. They were ghosted, they're gone, not a part of it, and then tell themselves to make themselves feel better. Yeah, they were ghosts.
Yeah. But that's all we got for today. We wanted to have this first episode for you guys. So this will wrap up everything that we have for the night. It's been great with Late Nite Lemonade, where we talk about the sweet and the sour, the good and the bad, like we talked about experiences, all that we've had. So we want to wish you a midnight and make sure you have the best time with us at Late Nite Lemonade.
Bye.